Salut ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jim and welcome to the Sounds German review of the new Summoning album With Doom We Come, written by Timo. The Austrian atmospheric black metal duo takes listeners to the realms created by J.R.R. Tolkien since the mid-90s. They are known for inventing a unique mixture of black metal, folk, beautiful keyboard melodies, epic choirs, and medieval-sounding synth instruments to draw their fans in time and again to the shores of Middle-earth like no other band does. Taking their time between releases, they now released their 8th full-length album called With Doom We Come to show us once more a glimpse of their vision of Tolkien's world. What I always liked about Summoning was their incredible consistency when it comes to putting out quality albums with good songwriting and structure. In the last 25 years, they never disappointed me once. Every album had its own identity and charm and just a lot to give and discover to the listener. Most people will tell you that every Summoning album sounds exactly the same, and the die-hard fans will disagree heartily with that sentiment. Summoning strive for a medieval, epic feeling in their songs, but not in the way most other folk bands do. Summoning songs are way more rough, delivering black metal screaming most of the time, a deliberately chosen lo-fi production, and drenching every song in an ocean of echoes. Summoning is all about a musical formula they established 25 years ago and sticking to it. With Doom We Come changes this formula in detail again while maintaining it as a whole. Summoning songs are constructed usually around a single black metal guitar riff, adding a striking keyboard melody to lead through the track, a drum computer to march along, and several other instruments like trumpets, harps, and flutes layered on top of it all. With Doom We Come has no intro, which is a first for Summoning, seeing how every other Summoning album so far had one. The first song is called Tar Carlion, can be seen as a full-fledged opener song about the last king of Numenor, and it comes clear that Summoning traded some of the epic, uplifting feeling from their older works here for a more menacing, darker tone. It's a good song to open with, featuring slow guitars with a focus on the heavy impact drums and a clear vocal performance throughout, which is chilling and gives the song a very dominant, authoritarian feel. I got instantly goosebumps when I heard the song's "You Will Kneel" lyrics, followed by a pretty intimidating grunt. The next song, called Serpentine, flows more in the traditional ways of Summoning, delivering a more epic and pompous feeling. Every song is constructed in a very similar way, as is typical for Summoning. First, slow metal guitar starts playing a monotone riff, then the slow drum computer kicks in, combined with a keyboard melody, accompanied by black metal screaming and nuancedly used instruments like a trumpet or a flute, creating a thick layered wall of sound, resulting in very epic sounding tracks. It's the same procedure in every song, just the overall feeling differs from track to track. Karkaroff and Heromor are more direct, more aggressively played. Night Fell Behind is more longing and having a slight oriental feeling to it. Merklands is subsequently more melancholic, and the last song, With Doom I Come, is almost a ballad with its beautiful use of the flute and the choir singing. So music-wise, this really isn't a too diverse album, but I'd still give it points for managing to create a variety of different atmospheres and moods. Now, the first two songs I already talked about suggest that we are off to a good start, but even Serpentine can't hide some of the gripes I have with this album. The songs deliver all the Summoning trademarks, but the mastering and mixing here is, well, pretty bad. And I don't mean the general lo-fi production sound. The songs are mostly just moving along without anything interesting happening. They feel weakly layered compared to their last albums, everything is mixed to the front, and they changed the vocal approach for both Silenius and Protector, the two members of Summoning, especially for Protector. His voice isn't as rough and dark anymore and way too clean, sounding thin and weak at the worst of times. For someone who never heard a Summoning album before, this may be nothing too bothering, since they don't know how the vocals sounded prior. But for Summoning fans, this is kind of a bummer. It shows really bad in the last song, the eponymous With Doom I Come. The song itself is a beautiful album closer, much in the vein of songs like their famous tracks Land of the Dead or Farewell. But Protector's voice is really distracting me in the first few minutes of the song, till it goes more towards the climax, where the voice is drenched in effects and other instruments. This album is structured much like their previously released Old Morning's Dawn and feels more like a weaker version of it. The album just plays along, missing some real highlights, while still creating enchanting visions of Middle-earth before your eyes nonetheless. At best, it is a magical and sprawling and very atmospheric album. At worst, it is plain boring. Summoning basically invented this subgenre they play, spawning multiple bands which try to copy-paste their style. But this time they showed first signs of weakness in my opinion, while other bands like Emin Muil or Caladan Brood are slowly passing them by. So, as a conclusion, I have to say that I feel that Summoning's 8 output misses the mark slightly. Don't get me wrong, it's a good album, giving the listener 8 solid songs and clocking in at 65 minutes of playtime. But this album just lacks an own identity. It hasn't the folky playfulness of an Oathbound, not the epic grandeur of Let Mortal Heroes Sing Their Fame, not the complex layering Old Morning's Dawn had, or even the roughness of their earlier works. It misses just something to make it stand out against all the other albums Summoning made. It is still very much enjoyable, but it feels like a step down in comparison. I can see Summoning fans liking this album, but not really loving it. The thin production, changes to the vocals, guitar play, and structure make it all in all one of the weaker albums in Summoning's discography. And if you didn't like Summoning up until now, With Doom We Come certainly won't change your mind. If you never listened to Summoning before, it's sure worth giving this one a try though. But there are better starting points to get into the band, like their 2006 release Oathbound or the 2013 released Old Morning's Dawn. If you're curious, however, give the track Silvertine and With Doom I Come from this album a spin. I feel they represent this album the best. So, I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you did, please leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you didn't like it, we have a button for that too. And if you have listened to this album, feel free to tell me in the comments what you thought about it. And if you want at least one weekly music review from an artist or band you probably never heard about before, just subscribe to the channel. You can also follow Sounds German on Facebook or Twitter. I do usually post daily new music videos on there from all kinds of artists. I hope to see you again next time. Have a nice day. Salida!